What's up guys and welcome back to the channel. I'm Andy the Middle-Aged Gamer and this is the Salvo Precision MWS Spear LT GBBR review. Now, as always, let's put the usual disclosures on screen and, well, you guys need to get yourselves ready because I think you're going to enjoy this one. Okay guys, so as always, let's do what we always do. Let's start at the beginning and work our way forward. So, at the very beginning, a year ago, we heard rumours coming out the Double Eagle factory that they were working on an MWS MCX platform. We didn't know what, but I had enough information to make our spidey sense go tingly. Now, fast forward to December, and we start to see a random video showing test firing of a MWS MCX outside of the factory, and now going by the name of Salvo Precision. Now, of course, at that point, most of us, I would say YouTubers, started to contact our usual, I would say, informants and things like that, trying to source out what happened. And well, the information I could find out between December and February was that basically it's pretty much the same situation as VFC do with APFG. DE are an OEM and Salvo Precision are their own company. Wink, wink. Let's do what we always do. Let's start at the rear and work our way forward. Alright guys, so let's start at the rear and work our way forward. At the rear we do have this CQB MCX skeletonized stock, which is awesome. This is built of solid aluminum, which is awesome, and features steel anti-rotation QD cups. There is a narrow but nice and thick rubber butt pad here that does a nice job of absorbing recoil, and basically that is mounted via a 1913 mount here at the rear of the GBBR. Now, of course, it does feature all steel springs, pins, screws, all the usual accoutrement inside there that build up this mount of steel, except for the mount itself. Is that bad? No, it just reduces weight, allowing you to basically enjoy the GBBR more in gameplay. Now, of course, like I say, I put quite a fair few rounds and it's held up to the test, so I have no issue with that. And in reality, it's identical to its competition, which is significantly more expensive. So there you go. Now, moving on down, let's get to the grip itself. It is a perfect, I would say, replica of the Spear LT grip, minus having the Sig Sauer logo there, which should be here. You can see the mold, I would say, blanking off there where they've deleted it. That's perfectly fine. And it's a lovely grip. What more can I ask for? I'll never need to change this one out. It's just a gorgeous grip to feel. Now, moving on to the trigger guard, it is the Spear LT, so you do get this nice built-in Spear LT winter trigger guard, which is awesome. For us airsofters, when you have your hands covered with nice thick armor gloves, of course, and basically you can access the trigger very easily. It's absolutely awesome. Now, let's talk about the actual trigger itself. As you can see, you do have a nice skeletonized part to it, adding to the realism with a nice little hook bit here that's nice and ergonomic. It's not deliberate like some of the replicas out there that look crap. This is really good, high quality, and in all reality, it's a nice MWS trigger on there. And because it is MWS, well, as you can see, it's charged, so we have a bit of take up to the wall, about 0.5 mil. Then you're at this mushy wall that lasts for 1, 2, and then you break, and then you have another mil of over travel. So approximately a total travel, give or take, is between 3.5 and 4 millimeters. Your first half is is take up to the wall. The wall lasts for about 2 millimeters before you hear the nice break, and then you have the extra over travel of about 1 millimeter. Now, if I go to the reset, it's right there, you can hear it, and it's almost near the very end. So you've got the full 3 millimeters or so to get to where that take-up ended for it to break. Now, when it comes to the selector lever, it is nice and positive. It stays in there. It's got a good detent system to it. And of course, you have all the usual controls. Safe is there, doesn't work. Semi, and fast semi or fun mode, wink wink. Now, it's really good. No matter which way you look at it, it's absolutely awesome. Okay, moving on up, let's get to the charging handle. Let's get it out of the way. As you can see, this is an identical one to the other MWS GBBR on the market. Built in the same factory. It is the exact same. It's fully ambidextrous, as is everything on this gun. And it does an absolute cracking job. What more can we ask for? Okay. Now, of course, moving on out, we'll get to our usual ping pong AR style bolt hold open / release. So you can hold it easily with this part here. As you can see, it's been extended, but you have a nice large paddle here. And of course, this being ambi, you can drop it with the other side. You do get the ambidextrous mag release, and just like the APFG, you do have the proper LT controls where it's all in line. Normally with the Virtus, it would end here and this piece would be missing, and this would be pushed forward slightly to keep in line with that. But apparently some people were dropping the mags accidentally, so with the revised Gen 3 MCX platform, they moved it all in line and extended this little bar, giving you a better feel for which is bolt release and which is your mag release. Crazy, I know. Now, of course, moving on to the mag, you can see the lightning cuts within it as per the Spear LT, but sadly no markings. That's a good thing, to be honest with you, and I'll get into that at the end. Now, when it comes down to the magazine, well, as you can see here, we do have our serial number right there from Salvo Precision, and it comes with this magazine. So if I just move this lovely GBBR aside a second, let's talk about the magazine. Okay, so when it comes to the magazines, let's take a look at them. As you can see, these are absolute faithful replica of the Tokyo Marui, minus the trademarks of Marui, but that's fine. You have the fill valve right here at the bottom, your knocker valve, and obviously the bolt catch right there. It is really good. The one thing I will tell you is these feed lips are slightly softer, which make it a lot easier to load. But if you part load these magazines, you might find the odd BB will catapult out straight away. Obviously, there's nothing wrong with just putting it back in. But it's a trade-off, like everything is a compromise these days. Again, you can swap it with any genuine Tokyo Marui feed lips if you wish. But to be honest, you're not going to want to, because this absolutely feeds and runs reliable. Now, when it comes to weight, let's get the scales in. And yes, we're in grams. We're going to tare it, make sure it's completely zeroed. And as you can see there, 435 grams in weight, which is very compatible with the Tokyo Marui ones. Okay, so now as this mag does come out of the same factory as the Double Eagle, well, here's the DE mag, as you can see right there. And straight away, you can see they are literally identical in parts, coloration, build structure, the lot. Everything is identical. So there you go. Now, to be honest with you, when it comes down to magazine compatibility, well, let's show you now. Okay guys, so when it comes down to mag compatibility, stick with the Salvo Precision or the Double Eagle ones, or even the Tokyo Marui, because either one of those are going to work perfectly fine. When it comes down to the other competition, the SEMA/T8 cooled down very quickly, and on a full mag, I was ending up having issues. On a half mag, it would lock back, but after that, it would start pissing out gas everywhere. So again, that is really no. When it comes to the Guns Modify mags, these are amazing in Guns Modify actual GBBRs, or to some extent in some TM GBBRs. But outside of that, I've noticed that they do tend to have some feeding due to the extremely tight feed lips, making it harder for the loading arm to push the BB out, which does affect actual feeding performance. In semi, you'll probably be okay, but in fun mode, you won't. And yeah, it's one of those. These are really, really good mags, and they work very well when it comes to Guns Modify guns. But outside of that, they do tend to have some feeding issues. Again, it's going to be a roll of the dice whether it's good with yours or not. I do advise, if you have someone who has one of these, to try one out first. Now, when it comes down to the original Double Eagle magazine, it does work, but again, it is a bit of a question mark. It's a case of, because of the low power in it, and again, the slightly tighter feed lips, you can see from the designs here, they look very similar, but just angling it right, you can see the different angle cuts and so on. These just tend to, again, have loading issues where it was loading 2 or 3 BBs in there, and that was jamming up the system. So, again, if you are going to run this, you can run these, but I would highly advise against it. Stick to the Stanag TM mags, all the Double Eagle, etc., all that style. Those are going to be great. Another key is, if you see the T8 has this knocker valve, and the EMG Lancer mags that have just come out right now, they use the same system as T8, and because of that, they're going to have the same issues, so avoid those as well. Just for now. Okay, so now that we've got the magazine compatibility out, let's get back to this GBBR. Alright guys, so now that we're at the receiver, as you can see, this is the Spear LT receiver. There is zero wobble between the upper and lower. It's built absolutely awesome, and like I say, this is just amazing. When it comes to the handguard, this is the Spear LT handguard. So not only do you have your first point of contact right here, which secures it through the front pin, but you also have 2 Torx keys right here, one on either side, that basically hold the handguard in place. This is not going to slip. Now, one of the old MCX issues with only having a single point of retention for the handguard being here, it would move and flex over time. With these 2 extra cuts, it means it's completely rigid. It's not going anywhere. It's going to work fine. Now, of course, this is the 11.5 GBBR. So you do have a actual 12-inch thereabouts in a barrel, 11.5 outer barrel. And I don't know if I can get it on camera, but let's have a look in here if I can try and brighten that up for you. But it does actually say 5.56 on the barrel, which is nice, NATO. And you do get your mock gas block and everything in there. Because this is a Tokyo Marui though, it runs with a standard Marui hop system in there. So any of the genuine Marui hop unit parts and chambers will fit and work with this no problem. Another win-win. Now, obviously, moving down, you do have M-LOK on the 369. You do have it at 10 and 2 at the halfway mark, and at 5 and 7 o'clock on the bottom. So it's really nice. It's got all the M-LOK you could need, all the modularity, and it is extremely lightweight. You do have this massive long Picatinny rail across the top, and in reality, it's just beautiful. It would be nice if they included some replica, I would say, sights for this from the real steel, something like Magpul or, you know, what have you, but they didn't, and that's fine. To be honest with you, that's perfectly fine. Now, at the front, we do have a complete replica of the muzzle device for the Spear LT. It's their SIG Zone, based on the Dead Air, I believe it is. But as you can see, this is a 14mm CCW, and if I just unthread it, it's 14mm CCW threads, and as you can see, the inner barrel goes right the way past. It's really good. It means that basically you're going to get the maximum velocity possible out of this GBBR. Now, if we flip this around, let's take a look at the other side. So, handguard is completely mirrored on both sides, and as you can see here, we do have the lightning cut mirrored as well on the mag well. You have the normal mag release, which is nice and large, and you have your ambi bolt hold open / release. So there you go, and it does work. Of course, ambidextrous fire selector and your QD sling point right here. And that's just awesome. When it comes to the markings, you have the multi-cal on the bolt. All right. So at this point, what we need to do is put some BBs in those mags and get it out and show you what you can do. This is the Salvo Precision MWS Spear LT GBBR with 0.25 gram BBs and green gas. Alright, that was a little bit pokey on the first shot, so now that we got the first 5 out of the way, let's add another 5. Okay. Alright guys, so let's take it back to 15 meters. Let's see what the grouping size is with this. Apart from the one I pulled, brilliant. All right, let's push it back and let's test this star. Wow. Alright guys, so as you can see, accuracy wise, this is bloody awesome. It hits the TM gold standard, if not beats it in my book. In all the years I've been doing this, it's brilliant. Now, this one here, that is me. I pulled this shot, and so I'm not going to count that. But if I did, it's a 3-inch group. If I don't, it's a 2.5-inch group. So whichever way you want to look at it, this is a really nice group. Remember, GBBRs inherently have the odd flyer around. It's just part of the gas system. But out the box, this performance is amazing. Yes, you can always upgrade parts to get as much of that little flyers or the little deviations eliminated, but we're talking about stock out the box performance without modifying it at all. And this meets that gold standard. It is absolutely amazing and a definite recommendation straight away just on that alone. But we have to take a look at the inside. Now, before we do, I am going to notify you now. I've had a chance to compare this with an actual competition to this, which is the Toxicant. So I will be showing that after we've given the due respect to this platform and gone over it right now. Once we've done that, I will be doing the comparisons between its main competitor and the APFG, just to show you the main differences in operating systems and that. So let's get into it. Right away, let's show you the fire control group. Now, as you can see, anyone with any experience with the MWS will see straight away that you have a Z plate that's very, very reminiscent of the Marui. It's a perfect clone of the Marui. Same when it comes to the hammer. It's a Marui clone. And here is your main difference, and that's this. So, basically, this arm here was added. Let's transfer them. Because this uses an AR-18 style system, all self-contained, basically, you have to put this arm in for the bolt to work, to be reset, so you get the disconnector right there and it sets the hammer. That's all this is, this arm here, and that, how would you say, disconnector right there. Now, of course, them two are the only proprietary parts in here, really, for this build. Other than that, these are all Marui clones, so will work with any of the aftermarket Marui MWS parts, which is awesome. Now, of course, let's get the usual magnet, steel, steel, aluminium, steel, steel trigger, aluminium button, aluminium release, aluminium here on this lever, but steel when it comes to the ambi, steel for your Z plate, steel for your roller, steel for your hammer, steel for your disconnect. Basically, everything that needs to be steel is steel on this build, and including the QD cup there, QD cup there, pin and springs, and obviously the screws that are inside. So for all that, this is an absolutely phenomenal build quality. Now, just like every single GBBR on the market today, I say every, 99.9%, let's put it right, they are cast upper and lower receivers that have been CNC finished. If they're done well, they'll have a good fit and finish. If they don't, then you'll have that wobble. With TM lately, I've noticed with the URGI, there is a bit of play developing, along with the MTR16 and with the M4A1 that I've had in my experience. Now, that just happens with normal wear, but if it's designed well, it's going to last a lot longer. And this one has basically done well. As you can tell, it's filthy as hell. And like I say, absolutely amazing. So for the lower, this is really, really good. You do also have, I will point out that the buffer plate right here at the end is a aluminium buffer plate. And you can generally see the wear and tear just right there. So if I can get my pointer. Right there, there's a wear and tear where the bolt goes back and impacts on this. So it is doing its job properly. Now, let's move up and, well, I'll just point out the charging handle. As you can see, it's filthy, but it is the exact same as its competition, built in the same factory. So there you go, as a lot of the parts are actually built in the same factory as its competition. Just is the way, according to my sources anyway. Now, here is your bolt carrier. Again, extremely filthy. I mean, look at the crap off this. But you have your general recoil rods, and so the rods are CNC aluminium, steel springs, the steel pin for the rollers, but with brass rollers there. These bearing rollers on the top are okay. And we have our standard bolt carrier body with a steel Z plate catch right there. And your nozzle is identical to every MWS nozzle on the market. Now, I have fitted mine with the Ratec M-Pass, which is probably why the FPS is a bit pokey at first and then settles down. That seems to be normal for these builds, and that is just because with this being 11 inch, or 11.5 to be exact, there's enough dual creep that it was shooting out the box at 340 to 360 FPS with green gas and 2.5 gram BBs. If you live here in the UK, that's not site legal, and so you'll find some sites are putting restrictors in there. I don't like that because it just damages your nozzle over time and really over reduces the FPS. So I fitted an M-Pass. You can fit whatever M-Pass you like that suits you. I advise you to fit, and away you go. It's really simple. And if you want to see how to do that, well, I'll show you in a video, but it's entirely up to you. I mean, look at how dirty this thing is. But as you can see, this is your bolt carrier body. It's beautiful. It's really well done. And the wear on it is actually a minimum. It's really, really good. Now, moving on to the upper. As you can see, it is filthy. But right in there, you can see the Tokyo Marui hop unit style, and the same with the actual hop chamber in there. It's Marui spec. Now, that basically gives you more aftermarket parts than ever before, and that is absolutely an awesome thing. I'm really impressed with that. I think that's absolutely great. Now, of course, they've done an absolute phenomenal job on every inch and detail of this. It really is cool. Even down to the gas block here. If you push the detent in, you can change the regulator if you wish. It doesn't do anything, but it's nice to have it there. But yeah, all in all, this is MWS spec in a barrel and bucking, so any standard GBBR barrel should fit, and bucking. So you can pair that up to get the performance you wish, but as you can see, out the box, you're not really going to need to. It's really, really good. Now, at this point, let's head over to Halo Mill and show you a comparison with my good friends, Toxicant. Okay, so we're here at Halo Mill, and I have my beautiful Salvo Precision and the Toxicant version on the table here. We're going to be comparing it. You'll hear some fire in the background from AEGs and so on as we're at Halo Mill. So let's go in and compare. Now, we can see here with mine versus his, they're all pretty much nice, although he does have the laser engraved trademarks on it. Now his is based off the Netherlands edition, which is awesome. So it came SD look, it looks really, really good. And of course he's put the buffer tube adapter on the back. Now his is going to be based off of the Virtus, as you can tell here, so it's not going to be full ambi, it's just ambi, fire and so on, but not the bolt release. And it has a more thicker, heavier receiver, as you can see here. You get the two cuts in, you can see the lightning cuts that they did and the extensions for this spear. Okay, so as you can see here, we have the Salvo Precision right here, and you can see the way that they've done their system. You can see how it all connects. You've got free movement on the Z plate. You can see the wear after about 2,000 rounds thereabouts. It's done very well. I've lubed it quite a lot. And as you can see, looking at the two designs, they're pretty very similar when it comes to the disconnector. The hammer's nice. But as you can see, the Toxicant Z plate is not that very good at moving. I'm going to get in my horrible hand in the way as everything falls about, but you can see very little movement when it comes to the Toxicant. Now that seems to be a problem with their Z plates. They do seem to fail, and I've noticed with the takedown pins they like to pop themselves out. When it comes to the metal buffer, you can see the Toxicant there on the left, and you can see the version with the Salvo on the right. The Salvo one just seems to be a little bit more narrower, better, kind of refined, I guess. You can see the cutouts at the bottom there versus the lightning cuts on the Salvo. And you got the firing pin here on the Salvo. Whoop, as we knock that one over, we can disconnect. And you can see right there the firing pin. They're pretty much identical, just different wear and tear in their lifespan. But generally it's an MWS and they do the same. Okay, so here we have the bolt carrier groups, and as you can see, the Salvo at the bottom and the Toxicant on the top. They're very almost identical except for the shorter stem on the nozzle return spring here, but you can put any normal one on there. You can see that where the rollers are here on the Toxicant, the cutout is there, but they've chopped the nub and made it so that you don't need it. Apparently, Salvo say in testing, it's a lot more, smoother cycling without them, so there you go. You can also see how everything else seems to follow on top. Again, the Toxicant has a slightly longer bolt top here, whereas mine here on this one is shorter. And on the other side, they both say multi-cal. Now the nozzles are just MWS, they're just generic ones on these because they are stock. But yeah, you can see the differences. Okay, hopefully you enjoyed that little bit of a trip to Halo Mill. And now that we're back here at the table, I do want to just clarify some of the observations that we made there. Now, when it comes to the fire control group, they are both very similar in design, barring geometry of the hammer for the Toxicant, and obviously the transfer arm. Now, with his Z plate right here, on his, it stopped working. Why? Because the previous owner had basically tested out HPA, which is what he wanted to use. And with the HPA setting around the propane, it would destroy the Z-plate mechanism, and so therefore, oopsie, it no longer locks to the rear. Now, of course, that seems to be a common thing. If you go on Reddit, you'll be able to find a lot of users that have tried propane on theirs and had the same issue. So don't use propane with a Toxicant. And yet for a very expensive GBBR, I would expect that it should have been able to handle that. But oh well. Now, when it comes to other little differences, you will notice on mine, the Salvo Precision has a shorter buffer plate at the rear, more in line with what the original buffer plate for the MCX from APFG had, but that's really decent, allowing just that little bit of extra travel for the bolt. It gives more momentum as well, and also, like I say, everything just looks more Marui spec, so it's a lot more easier to repair and find parts. Now, when it came to the bolt carrier, there was a few little differences. The mounting bracket here that retains the arms and everything is slightly longer on the Toxicant, which means the Toxicant won't fit in the Salvo Precision, but the Salvo will fit in the Toxicant. Go figure. The body itself are identical, barring the fact that Salvo deleted the rollers here. They decided to leave that cut out for them, but not to include them. And that was because of extra friction in the system, which, to be honest with you, it's good that it's out because this is a lot more smoother. It felt better to rack, and obviously having twice the recoil impulse than the Toxicant, well, there you go. Now, I didn't get a chance to show you shooting footage of it. I did get to shoot it, and like I say, that's how I know that the recoil impulse is pretty much in line with the Crytek for the Toxicant, and this, to be honest, is just a lot better. Okay, so now that we've mentioned about the Toxicant and that, let's talk about the next competitor in the line, and that is the APFG. Now, I do feel that this is going to be a little bit like comparing apples to oranges, but hey. So here, as you can see, I have my Rattler LT. Now, anyone who's anyone will know that the Rattler LT and the Spear LT are basically the exact same gun, except the Rattler is chambered in 300 blackout and is substantially shorter, but will use the exact same handguards and is basically the exact same upper and lower receiver, just with a barrel of 300 blackout at 6.75 inches with a 6-inch handguard. So there you go. And that'll basically tell you that it's not really an unfair comparison in that respect. But it really is when it comes to how it works. All right, so here we have the actual lower for the APFG. Everything on this is full steel, and it is designed to be a complete replica or close to replica of the real steel. Hence the mil spec system, as they call it. So with that, it's a really good system, as you can see, completely different. Now, one of the problems they had with the original Rattler and the MCX in general, including the Legacy Edition, was the fact that they were initially sold with the same aluminium buffers that are in here. And what that would do would allow so much transfer of energy, because the actual internals of this, how would you say, are lighter than this. These ones are significantly heavy on the APFG, that it would basically cause fractures in the receiver here. That's why the actual hole doesn't go all the way through. They left the material in the middle to reinforce it, but they also added this nice hard rubber buffer instead. That basically just gave it more mass, more material to absorb, and in that respect, well, it works better. Okay, so there's your main differences. When you put the two together, you can see that, yeah, there are significant differences. Externally, though, they're pretty much identical, barring the fact that the APFG doesn't have the lightning cut that should be there. So, oopsie. All right, so while we're here, let's do the weight comparison of the bolt, shall we? So, we finally get round to it. So the bolt carrier and recoil weighs around 200 grams, which is virtually about 20 grams less than the Toxicant due to the added extra little pieces of the Toxicant. But that's not really much or enough to make a difference in my opinion, but you be the judge. Now, when it comes to the APFG one, Well, as you can see, the bolt carrier is more realistic. And this weighs significantly more, 122 grams to be exact. That's significant in mass, and of course, that hitting the back of the receiver was enough to cause fractures. On top of that, this does actually use real steel charging handles, whereas the MWS uses a shorter MWS specific. Potatoes, potatoes, as they say. And when it comes to the internals, this has the more realistic transfer bar here, and also it is adjustable via the gas block for the hop. It is the VFC guide hop, along with the fire control unit. Inside the lower receiver is basically the VFC Gen 3, hence the reason why it uses the VFC Gen 3 magazines and all that. Now, it comes down to it, which one you want. Do you want mil spec realism or mil sim realism? Or are you just after absolute awesome skirmishability with virtually identical externals? It's entirely up to you. You being the judge on that one, it's down to what you prefer. Let's go. Moving up. Hooking up. This thing rocks. Hey! Traded, nice trade. Dead rat coming through. We're back on. Coming through. Ooh, come here, you got hit. Come on, I'll wait for you here, kid. We'll push up together. Nice one! Ready? Go. Come through. Go, hit, thank you. Dead man coming through. Okay, if you've gotten this far in the video and you like what you see but you're not subscribed, hit that subscribe button. While you're there, hit that notification bell and like button. That way you stay notified whenever I upload a new video, and you really help this channel out a huge amount. This channel is and always will be independent. This channel is not owned by, operated by, or sponsored by any airsoft manufacturer or retailer. That allows me to be open and honest and not contractually obliged to give you a positive review. So if it sucks, I will tell you it sucks. If it's awesome, I can tell you it's awesome. Alright guys, so we've gotten to that part in the video where we put all the pieces on the board and come to a conclusion. Now, let's start with the Salvo Precision on its own. First thing I want to say is Salvo Precision, congratulations, you did an absolutely outstanding job. Now, taking it as it is, the out-the-box experience is amazing. Just opening it with a very nice hard case, good on you. A case that you can actually use. The competition sends it in a case, but it's in pieces. The moment you assemble it, you can't fit it in that case no more. And it's virtually useless outside of holding parts in your little armory or under your bed or wherever you keep your GBBR. Now, that's a great experience straight away, and it's certainly not a small cost to the company. They are not cheap for those cases, so good on you for that. Now, when it comes down to the GBBR itself, the overall build is bang on. It's there with Marui spec. I have seen such great accuracy with this. I've used it and put it through gameplay, as you'll have seen already. This thing is just absolutely outstanding. Now let's compare it to the competition. If you want this particular model from Toxicant, it's going to set you back £770. That's with discount on their site. It doesn't come with an inner barrel or even the stock. And basically, you don't even know when you're going to get it. It could be a few weeks to a few months. It's really weird because Toxicant have that weird shipping thing. I've had people I know very well who's ordered it. They say they shipped it, and it's been sat there in Hong Kong customs for about 4 months. So, again, now, of course, you are going to add shipping to that, the cost of it in a barrel, and the stock, which is going to bring it pretty much in line with nearly 900 quid out before you've even built it and put BB down range. Add to that you're going to add all your equipment and gear. Yeah. And if you do get a UK customs bill, which again is we don't know. One thing also I will say with Toxicant is HMRC, after speaking with a representative from them, they have been notified from 6 Hour USA to cease and desist any of the Toxicants that come through their customs department. So if they find it's Toxicant and they know what it is, well, depending on the guy doing the job, there is a high chance that it's going to be seized, destroyed, or returned back to Toxicant with a nasty fine to you and to Toxicant, meaning you're out of money and there's nothing you can do about it. So, again, for the sake of markings in the case of the Toxicant, which is what's holding them up, is the plagiarized markings on it, it's usually better to get it to the UK without and then add your own markings as you wish. Doing that, you can change the coating to make it look less plasticky on camera if that's the thing you want to go for, as I did read the comments. But in reality, anyone who's seen this will agree, this is absolutely amazing. The coating's really thick. It doesn't have the wear part at the charging handle. As you can see, it is just dirt. And that basically makes it significantly nicer to use. Now, when it comes to the other competition out there on the market, the APFG, which sits in the middle in the price bracket, the APFG certainly is the part if you're looking for a Mil Sim realism. That's the benefit of the APFG. This is designed around a skirmishable system that's got a massive amount of replaceable parts that are easier to find, and basically an accuracy that is second to none in this sort of like out-the-box performance. It's really, really good. So I'm going to leave that to you. It might hurt you with the Toxicant with what we said. I do apologize if that has, but in reality, no, I don't. Toxicant is amazing, but it's coming at a cost. The upper and lower receivers and parts are generally made in the exact same factory as this, but they charge you a significant more. They do state on their website it's CNC processed. That is the Chinese to English translation, which basically just means it's cast that's been CNC finished. It is not full CNC. If it was, it'd be significantly even more expensive, looking around the £1,500 to £2,000 mark, not 770. Just FYI. This gun itself retails here in the UK for £480 all in. And you can take that day one, put BBs in, gas, and go shoot. Toxicant, you can't. Again, is the marking worth a few £100 more just to get the gun before you've even bought the inner barrel and the stock? You be the judge. For me, I'm really happy with what Salvo Precision has done. You get a thumbs up, and yes, if you like the spear, this is the one to go for right now, and go and skirmish and have fun all day long. You won't be disappointed. And with that, we've got to that part in the video where you give me your comments down below, and I get a chance to either be shocked or be happy. I don't know. It's up to you. But I'm really happy with this. And as always, I've been Andy the Middle-Aged Gamer. You guys have been amazing, and I'll see you in the next one.